Thank you, everyone, for your patience this evening. I just wanted to let you know that we had some business and closed session that went just a little bit longer, and we needed help get some of the attorneys out the door. So we're looking at efficiencies there. So we really appreciate your time. We're going to be starting shortly. The mayor had to pick up some items, and he will be here probably within the next 2 minutes. So thank you very much.
All right, we will call this meeting to order. This meeting is being held in the council chambers where we open for public attendance and participation. This meeting is also being live streamed for public viewing, but not participation. At the link identified in the agenda, emailed comments sent and received by the city clerk at least 24 hours prior to tonight's meeting were distributed to the city council prior to the meeting. And I apologize for us running over tonight. So can I have roll call with that?
Mayor Shaw?
Here.
Vice Mayor Boomgarden?
Here.
Councilmember Cole?
Here.
Councilmember Kirchner?
Present.
Councilmember Pasquale?
Here.
All right, thank you. If you'll please stand for the invocation, which will be given by Councilmember Kirchner, and our pledge, which will be led by Councilmember Pasquale. You may be seated. Mr. Chaffin, can you report out of closed session this evening?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There's no reportable action taken in closed session.
Thank you. Is there any agenda modifications from the council this evening? Seeing none, agenda stands. All right, we will go directly into ceremonial presentations. The first one tonight is for Eric Ball, who's one of our code enforcement officers, at least for a few more hours. Would you please join the council down front, please? Thank you. Tonight is going to be really bittersweet on a couple of points this evening. Because Eric, you've been with us a long time, and you're just part of the city. And I'll say this to you: we can change that with 2 words. It's called duct tape.
Joy.
All right. Well, tonight we want to honor you, and we have a proclamation here for you. And whereas Eric Ball has dedicated 19 years of exceptional service to the city of Yuba City as a community service officer with the Yuba City Police Department and as a code enforcement officer with the Development Services Department, demonstrating an unwavering commitment to the improvement of public safety, health, and welfare, protection of property rights and values, and improving the city's aesthetics through the enforcement of the city's municipal codes. Through his entire tenure, Eric Ball has played a vital role in addressing the impacts of blight, improving the city's aesthetics and protection of the environment through his work to pursue grant funding that provided for California Conservation Corps teams working in our community to mitigate their impacts of the homelessness, both along the Feather River and within the city limits. Your expertise, hard work, and attention to detail have contributed significantly to the quality of life for our community, earning yourself the respect and admiration of your colleagues, city leaderships, and residents alike. You have consistently exemplified professionalism, reliability, and teamwork, serving as a valued and trusted member of both the police department and the development service department, and as a role model for your peers. So therefore be it resolved that I, Dave Shaw, Mayor of the City of Yuba City, on behalf of the entire City Council, do hereby commend Eric for his outstanding and loyal service and sincerely urge all residents of the City of Yuba City to join me in recognizing Mr. Eric Ball for his contributions to the Yuba City community for the past 19 years. Would you like to say a few words?
Yeah.
Oh.
I came prepared. Just so you know, I was a preacher for 25 years before I came to the city, so preachers always got something to say. When I came to the city to work, I started as a volunteer actually at the police department and then became an employee, and it's been quite a ride. And as I was reflecting on that, the reason I put notes down is it was kind of a who'da thunk, because I didn't. Who'da thunk? After pastoring various church congregations for approximately 25 years, I would work in 2 different departments within the city for a little over 19 years. Who'da thunk? I would become a go-to person for so many citizens and employees with weird questions and problems to solve. Who'da thunk? I would find myself walking up to a person as they were shooting up with drugs and then carry on a conversation while the needle was still hanging in their arm. Who'da thunk? I would become the adoptive owner of a dog found in a homeless camp. Who'da thunk? I would become one on a team that regularly need to negotiate and mitigate between neighbors when they don't want to talk to each other. Who'da thunk? I would collect so many shopping carts, mattresses, appliances, and other junk that got dumped around town. Who'da thunk? I would pick up a small piece of PVC pipe only to realize it was a pipe bomb, homemade, in my hand. Who'da thunk? I would become a parent to clean up after our homeless population. Who'da thunk? I would have to wrangle a couple rattlesnakes during my work day. They were found in jars in a vacated camp. Who'da thunk? I would collect so many various souvenirs, many of them currently decorating my office space from those vacant homeless camps. Who'da thunk? I got to work with so many really great people, citizens, staff, community members, and elected officials that really want to make this city, my current residents, better, cleaner, and safer. It has been an honor and a privilege to serve the citizens of this city. Who'da thunk?
On that note, I'm just going to add one more thing to what you just said. Because you started off, you were what before you came to this? A pastor. So Eric, he'da thunk. He'da thunk. So with that, I need to ask Tasha, David, and Isabella to come up. And we have some more things for you. So who'd like to go first?
Here, I can chime in. Hello there, thank you. Hello all, and hello there, Eric. My name is Tasha Weaver. I am with Senator Megan Daly's office, and it is an absolute honor to be here and a privilege. Who'da thunk? I was going to be here tonight presenting on behalf of the senator, along with my cohorts over here. We've got Isabella with Gallagher's office and David with LaMalfa's office. And so we are honored to be here and to acknowledge And thank you for blessing this community with all of your hard work and all of your efforts and the 19 years of variety of services that you have provided. So thank you. And so on behalf of the senator and the assembly member, thank you and congratulations on your retirement. I would probably change your number because otherwise they're going to be calling you. Yes. All right.
And as Tasha said, thank you for all that you've done. 19 years of, a lot of things that you just mentioned, and I'm sure there's also a lot more things that you didn't mention for our sakes. But thank you so much for all that you've done. And like you said it best, you've made it better, safer, and cleaner for everyone. And we're just so grateful for it. Absolutely. Thank you.
And on behalf of Congressman LaMalfa's office, I want to say thank you for dealing with pipe bombs and rattlesnakes. Good Lord, man. We got to get you guys some gloves, right? No, but seriously, 19 years of dedicated service to the city in multiple capacities. Thank you. We really appreciate it. And very well said with your comments. Who'd have thunk? That was phenomenal. So thank you on behalf of the congressman and the people of the North State. Thank you.
Okay. And if we can get a group picture with all of us here. In and the council with Eric would be great. All right. We know who's next to come up, and that'd be Mr. Spencer Morrison. If you would join us. Your speech ready? Sure. So what? Yeah, if you'd like to hold that, that'd be great. Are you sure you're really ready for this? I am. Because we're not. Spencer, worked along with you since I've came on the council, and I know that it has, you've been a consummate right there. From the time that Robin was the finance director to you became the finance director all the way through. And I just want to say myself, and I'm sure the council would chime straight in, thank you for all you've done. And it goes well beyond, as you're about to all find out, because I read this and then I had to stop and go get a snack and come back to read more of this because it's so long. So anyway, Spencer Morrison, you're a native of Sutter County, having been raised in South Sutter community of Pleasant Grove. You began your professional journey in the hospitality industry before transitioning to public service, where you steadily advanced through various roles in the city of Yuba City's finance department. And here you are tonight after more than 21 years of dedicated service to the city of Yuba City, its citizens and employees, ensuring the council priorities of public safety, physical responsibility, business-friendly quality of life, and infrastructure were always at the forefront. You advanced through a series of financial leadership roles, ultimately serving as finance director and city treasurer, where you skillfully managed the city's financial resources with transparency, accountability, and adherence to the best financial practices, safeguarding the city's financial health and strengthening its economic resilience. Spencer, you have led the finance department through both challenging and prosperous times, assembling a strong team of accountants, clerks, managers, analysts, technicians, and representatives to ensure the department's success and deliver excellent customer service to the city's residents and employees. You have received numerous honors, and here we go, including Team of the Year Award, and his leadership resulted in producing or directing over 20 award-winning budgets and financial statements, setting a standard of financial excellence which routinely earned the city the Distinguished Budget Award from the Government Finance Officers Association. That's quite a feat. Spencer, you have been actively involved in the community, serving as a guide and board member for the Middle Mountain Interpretive Hikes, the Sutter Buttes Regional Land Trust, and playing a pivotal role on the board of the Yuba City Sister City Association, and your contributions to fostering cultural exchange and international relationships have strengthened community ties and enhanced Yuba City's global presence. Page 2. I feel like Paul Harvey. Spencer, it goes way beyond what we've read so far because your quick wit and positive attitude earned you the respect and admiration of colleagues and team members. His leadership skills were further strengthened through competing the Leadership Academy, enhancing his ability to guide teams and implement strategic improvements. Spencer, your spirited participation in work-related activities, including always dressing up as characters such as Willy Wonka, the Mad Hatter, and a variety of other creative personas, fully embracing Emo Day. Do we need to bring that one back? Delighting in a good chai tea latte and relishing a great cup of joe. Your witty emails filled with humorous fine print and your adventurous lunch choices reflecting a true love for food have brought humor and creativity to City Hall. And Spencer, you leave behind a legacy of not only professionalism, but fun and engagement. So your passions are cycling, has been a defining personal interest, complemented by hobbies such as skiing, hiking, camping, traveling, and gardening, reflecting a well-rounded character and enthusiasm that you have for life. So therefore, now be it resolved that I, Dave Shaw, the mayor of the city of Yuba City, on behalf of the entire city council, do hereby commend Spencer Morrison for his outstanding performance, unwavering dedication, and loyal service to the city and citizens of Yuba City. Your leadership, professionalism, sense of humor, and connections with colleagues will be deeply missed by all who have had the privilege of working alongside you. And we urge all residents of Yuba City to join us in recognizing Spencer Morrison for his many contributions and wish him all the best in his future endeavors. Would you like to say a few words?
Sure. Thank you so much. When I've sat on your side for dozens of these things in 22 years, as you can imagine, and the first comment that people tend to say is, "I'm going to miss the people most." Yep, that's true. So I did want to acknowledge that public service isn't always something that one just falls into. Public service is a calling for some, heritage for others. And my heritage is here tonight. So I have my father, Phil, who is a 49-year member of Station 9, and he is a retired Sutter County Deputy Sheriff. My mother, Diana, who is was also, I don't know how many years, but was a member of the Station 9 Fire Department as well for many years, EMT, and part of a very unique group that, if you don't know about it, you need to look it up, the auxiliary, or the first aid squad, the Pleasant Grove First Aid Squad. Very unique. My wife, Amy, is here, school teacher, public servant. My brother is here, Matthew. He is a retired retired from the Navy, and works for Department of Defense now. And so my mother also, Karen Morrison, was also EMT, founding member of the Pleasant Grove First Aid Squad, and side note, at one time, through a blended family, I had 4 parents working for Station 9, Pleasant Grove Fire Department. So I grew up in public service, and with the great examples that even in retirement carry on today through the Elks Lodge, as both my parents are past exalted rulers and current and former district deputy past exalted ruler in their lodges. So with that, I'm just grateful. I'm grateful to have that experience, that I can connect with serving the public and service. And this will just be a new chapter for me of serving others as I serve my neighbors by raking their leaves and cleaning their gutters today. So that's day one of retirement.
There you go. All right. All right. Don't go too far. If we could have the same group come back up.
I'll go ahead just because I really like talking, so I figure I'll go first. So when I was reading the proclamation, I have to say my jaw dropped. I saw all of these fantastic things that you've done for this community, and it sounds like you're going to keep doing. I mean, I have some leaves that would definitely need to be raked. If you're ever in the Chico area, feel free. And I was going to ask, are you sure you don't want to come work for the state? Because I hear that you're really good with finances.
They do need me.
They do. They need you. They need you. But we just want to thank you for the many years that you've put into serving this community and for continuously just, giving your all. It sounds like you have quite the power family and people to look up to strive to be like, and it sounds like you're doing it. So thank you on behalf of Senator Megan Daly, as well as Assemblymember Gallagher's office. We have a joint certificate acknowledging your retirement after 21 years. And congratulations.
And I have to share the same experience after reading all of your accomplishments. It is an honor to be able to recognize you and all that you've given and dedicated to this community. Honestly, and the Assemblyman really wanted to be here. He did have a previous family commitment, but he did want me to pass on the true heartfelt gratitude and thanks for all that you've done. And I mean, again, with the family that you have, it's kind of hard not to, get some of that greatness on you, huh? But honestly, thank you. Good luck on anything that you put your mind to, because it seems like it'll just be another successful endeavor.
Same thing, reading through it. I mean, I hope you have enough wall space for all of these items. Sure. Yeah, did they let you keep all those awards? No, that's phenomenal. Thank you for your 21 years of dedicated service to the city of Yuba City. We appreciate the steady hand, the course correction, the keeping on track, and ensuring that we don't go into financial ruin. So thank you for being a phenomenal steward. Thank you for keeping everybody honest here. Really appreciate that. And on behalf of Congressman LaMalfa, congratulations and enjoy your retirement. Hopefully you're not doing too much with the leaves.
All right, Spencer, don't run off yet. Okay. How many budgets have you done in this building? At least 19? 20?
Yeah, a bunch.
Yep. Go ahead and why don't you take that out behind Mark there real quick. I just want you to know that we were paying attention, all of us at the dais, and we've been collecting things over the years, because what would you always bring into us? Beans. So we want you to take all your beans back and take those with you. We only licked half of them, so. All right, we're going to continue on. We're going to go to agenda item 3, appearance of interested citizens. You're welcome and encouraged to participate in this meeting. Public comment is taken on action items appearing on the consent calendar or business items on the agenda when they are called. Public comment on any other items within the scope of the city's jurisdiction, including items not listed on the agenda, will be considered at this time. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Members of the public submitting written requests at least 24 hours prior to the meeting will be allowed 5 minutes to comment per speaker. Repetitive comments may be limited, and large groups are encouraged to select representatives to express the opinions of the group. We did not receive any written notices or written requests. Do we have any comments from the public? Have any comments from the public? Hearing none, we're moving on to consent calendar. All matters listed under consent calendar are considered to be routine and can be enacted in one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items prior to the time that council votes on the motion unless members of the city council request specific items be discussed or removed from the consent calendar for individual actions. Do we have any public comments on the consent items this evening? They're just a little excited. Do I have any public comment concerning the consent calendar items this evening? Hearing none, I'll bring it back to council for comments, questions, or action.
Through the mayor.
Yes, sir.
Move to approve consent calendar items 4 through 21.
Second.
I have a motion and I have a second.
Through the mayor, quick question, quick item. If there is somebody who is not in attendance for the minutes of last meeting, they can abstain now if they so choose.
Okay. Do we have anyone that needs to abstain?
I would like to abstain as I was not here for the last meeting.
And that would be specifically for
Number
consent.
4.
Number 4.
Yeah.
Okay. So is that amenable back to the motion?
Yes.
With the extension. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Motion carries. I just knocked out half the agenda. So now we're on item 22. Business items. It's the annual report for the downtown Yuba City Business Improvement District and proposed levy of annual assessments for 2025. Ms. Langley, you have the floor.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I would like to note that Sandy Drown with the DBA, past president of the DBA, is here tonight, so thank you. So tonight before you is the annual report from the Downtown Yuba City Business Improvement District and the proposed levy of annual assessment for 2025. Just to refresh your memory, this is the boundary of the Business Improvement District, so it includes the properties in orange, yellow, and beige. The different colors, orange and beige, represent the 2 different zones for commercial uses, and then the yellow indicates residential uses. And so pursuant to the municipal code, the DBA has submitted their annual report, which is attached to the staff report. The annual review of the Business Improvement District is accomplished as a 2-part process. Tonight, you will adopt a resolution declaring the city's intent to levy an assessment and ordering a public hearing. And then the public hearing is set for January 21st, 2025 at 6 p.m. The annual report outlines accomplishments for this year, the 2025 directors and committee members, proposed improvements and activities, the estimated 2024 expenses, the estimated 2025 budget, and the district assessment formula, which the district assessment formula has not changed since the district was formed. Last week, the DBA acknowledged their new officers, and so here you have the officers and then the board of directors. For 2024 accomplishments, the DBA has done a fantastic job coordinating with staff on the Clean California Grant Project, exhibiting tremendous patience as we work through that process and identify different design elements for the project. They decreased building vacancy from 40% to 10%, enhanced current smaller events and created additional smaller entertainment events, and then partnered with local events to be a destination. Planned 2025 activities include tree light designs on Pluma Street, additional small events on Pluma Street, historic downtown signage, and then a strategies board meeting in January 2025. So the recommendation tonight is you adopt a resolution accepting and approving the 2024-2025 annual report, and then also adopt a resolution of intent to levy the assessment and set the public hearing for January 21st, 2025. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Langley. Is there any questions from the council? Seeing none, is there any comments from the public? Ms. Strown, would you like to say anything tonight? Oh, good. All right. Any comments from the public? Hearing none, I will bring it back to the council for action.
Through the mayor,
There we go.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt a resolution accepting and approving the 2024-2025 annual report of the downtown business, Yuba City Business Improvement District, and also adopt a resolution of intention to levy and collect 2025 annual assessment and set a public hearing for January 21st, 2025.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
And I was the one that just got off the plane a few hours ago. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Motion carries. We're moving on to agenda item 23, which is the Downtown Yuba City Business Improvement District Ordinance. Ms. Langley.
Yes, so this segues off of the last item. So the municipal code addresses the downtown Yuba City Business Improvement District, and section 3-9.050 includes provisions for the collection of assessments. So the current provisions state that the city will collect the assessments and the district will collect delinquencies. In past years, the Downtown Business Association has been serving as the district to collect the delinquencies, and they don't have a lot of tools available to them to be able to do so. So a few months ago, they reached out to the city to see if there was any ability to modify the process so that the city would collect the delinquencies. And we evaluated it and determined that, yes, we could and we should. And so staff recommends modifying the municipal code to identify that the city shall bill and collect all assessments, including delinquent assessments. Delete the language related to the district collecting delinquent assessments, and then add a section to specify the process for collection of delinquent assessments. So the delinquent assessment process would start with the finance department would prepare a written report filed with the city clerk describing each parcel of which there are delinquent assessments during the preceding year and the amount of delinquency. And I just want to note that this process that I'm outlining is the same process that we use for delinquent water and sewer bills, as well as the process for collection of assessments through code enforcement compliance cases. Prior to the date set for a hearing, the city clerk shall publish the notice of the report's filing and the time and place of the hearing. The finance department shall conduct a pre-hearing to hear and consider all objections. The finance director would hear any objections and then recommend to the city council the list that would move forward for collection of assessments. The city council would then conduct a public hearing, consider all objections or protests, and then make a recommendation of each delinquency filed. The city council's determination would be final. At that point in time, prior to August 10th of each year, the city clerk would file with the finance director a copy of the signed report to submit to the Sutter County Assessor's Office so that the delinquency would be included on the tax roll for the property. So I really want to highlight this slide. This is a significant departure from the current process and will now involve the property owner into the business improvement district assessment. In looking at the list of business owners versus property owners, there's a lot of property owners that rent space to businesses. There's not a lot of situations where the business owner is the property owner. So for those property owners out there that have not been involved in this process, all of a sudden this next year, they're going to have a little bit of a what's happening moment when they start to receive notices that the business within their building is not paying their assessment. So I just want to work through what the timeline would look like. So the Downtown Business Improvement District billing timeline, so second week of January, the finance department will send out the first billing. The second week of February, a first reminder would go to the business. The second week of March, a second reminder would go to the business and a notice would be provided to the property owner to let them know that at this point in time, the business has not paid their assessment. The first week of April, a delinquency letter with a 10% penalty would go to the business owner. The property owner would also be noticed. The first week of May, a delinquency letter with an escalating penalty would be sent to the business owner, and again, the property owner would be noticed. So up until this point in time, the property owner is going to be notified 3 different times that the business that is occupying their property has not paid their assessment. At that point in time, if it's still not paid, then we're going to transition to this process that we're currently talking about, which is the lien process. Through the lien process, what that would look like is the first week of June, lien letters would be sent to the property owner. The 4th week of June, a public notice would be placed in the paper by the city clerk. The 2nd week of July, the finance director would oversee that pre-hearing to listen to objections and then make a recommendation to the city council. The 3rd week of July, the city council would hear additional objections from property owners and then certify the list that's to be forwarded to the county. And then by August 10th, the lien list would be submitted to the county so that the lien is placed on the property. We did hold, we sent a letter out, it's been over a month ago, to all the business and property owners. We held a meeting at the Happy Viking and invited all of the business and property owners. We didn't have a large attendance, but we went over this timeline and talked about this change in process. I also sent a letter out almost 2 weeks ago to the business and property owners to notify them of the discussion tonight so that they'd have the opportunity to chime in because, like I said, this is a significant change from what's happened in the past. So the fiscal impact, as the DBA did not have tools available to collect delinquent assessments, there's a long list of aged accounts, and that's included in the annual report of the previous item. The DBA board, some of those delinquencies go back for years, and so the DBA board voted to only go back to January of 2023. Staff will follow the process outlined in the amended ordinance should it be adopted and become effective. And currently, there's just under $31,000 that is greater than 90 days past due. The alternatives are to direct staff to modify the proposed code changes, and then the other alternative is to not amend the code. I do not recommend this alternative because the DBA cannot act as the district, and right now the ordinance is somewhat flawed in that we need to designate an agency that can actually act in that with that legal requirement. So with that, a recommendation is to conduct a public hearing and then introduce an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Yuba City to amend Municipal Code Section 3-9.050 for the collection of delinquent assessments by title only and waive the first reading. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Langley. Is there any questions from the council? All right. Seeing none, we will open the public hearing for the Downtown Yuba City Business Improvement District Ordinance is now open. If there are any members of the public who would like to address the council on this issue, please provide your statement via public comment. State your name and address for the record. And do we have any comments from the public?
Hello, Keith Bordson, 1139 Gray Avenue. So, a group of people sent me here that represent 6 different addresses on Plymouth Street in the district, and we're very much in favor of downtown and the association, but having ne'er-do-well tenants who don't pay and then penalizing the property owners went over like a lead balloon in the group that sent me here. And so I would ask you to not change that policy and find some other way to collect the money for the Downtown Business Association. It's a great organization, it does good things, but penalizing the property owner and putting a lien on it is too heavy-handed. So those are the 6 parcel number, that's the consensus of the people who sent me here. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments during this public hearing?
Okay, good evening, Mayor and Council. And it's nice to welcome you, Tony. I'm Sandy Drown, and my husband and I own the Happy Viking, and we also have it's 741, 739, and I think 743 is the address for the Happy Viking. And so in our lease, we have, it states that we're required as a business to pay into our dues, so that kind of helps with the property owner, and that's always been in our lease. So I know that we've been recommending to other property owners to put that in their lease, so then it defaults so that they can actually do action if that business does not pay. So I just wanted to share that most of the landlords there have that in their lease agreement. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments from the public during the public hearing? Any other comments from the public? Okay. Hearing no further comments on this issue, I am now closing the public hearing and bringing this back to council for action.
Move to accept item number 23, conduct a public hearing, then introduce an ordinance to the City Council of the City of Yuba City to amend Municipal Code Section 3-9.050 for the collection of delinquent assessments by the title only and waive the first reading.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and I have a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Langley. We'll move on to agenda item 24, small wireless telecommunications facilities within the city's right-of-way. And we have Mr. Ben Moody. Mr. Moody, you have the floor.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. So the item before you is really a continuation of a process that's been in play for the last few years, is to coordinate to work with his wireless telecommunications facilities and the permit. So as we turn into more of a wireless technology and industry, how do we deal with those products in the public right of way? And so a little background, in July 2022, council adopted an ordinance governing installation of wireless telecommunication facilities. And so we worked with the attorney's office and really put together something that met state codes, while giving the city the most flexibility we could to control what we could with these facilities that were allowed in the public right of way and the time periods. And so there's some definitions with the small wireless facilities, these SWIFTs, for example, and typically they're wanting to locate them on the top of streetlights or existing utility poles around in the PUE area, public utility easement. Here's some examples of facilities that you might see at various locations across the state. And so right now we do not have the 5G small wireless facilities. You see big cell towers, but we haven't seen these small facilities come in. And so currently, what we're trying to do is to finish off this ordinance in this master tax and with the tax license agreement is to establish the fee and then enter into the agreement for one of our first applicants, which is New Singular Wireless, AT&T. And so that's what we're doing here tonight, is to conduct a public hearing to set the fee and then enter into this agreement that we've already set the master template for in previous meetings. And so the proposed fee is a flat fee, $3,065 and change, with a deposit of $1,000. And so that deposit is there is really because someone might come in and say, I want 100 of these. And then so that amount would be on real time versus an application for 5. And so we've been working with AT&T since the beginning of this ordinance the last few years, and they've talked about 5 locations. They haven't submitted anything formal, and we haven't seen what that ultimately might turn into. And so that's why there's that deposit amount. And then it will inflate annually with the consumer price index. So our recommendation tonight is, after conducting a public hearing, adopt a resolution that amends the city's fee schedule to include the new fees for processing the wireless telecommunication permits, and approve approve a master license agreement with New Singular Wireless. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Moody. Is there any questions from the council? Yes, sir.
I just have a question. We're on 24, correct? I don't see anywhere where it says conduct a public hearing, unless I'm looking at this wrong.
Well, it's a public meeting because of establishing the fees.
Okay.
And so maybe the wording got wrong there was a notice for a public hearing.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the council? Okay. Hearing none from the council, the public hearing for the small wireless telecommunication facilities within the city's right-of-way is now open. If there are any members of the public who would like to address the council on this issue, please provide your statements via public comment and state your name and address for the record. Do we have anyone that would like to speak under public comment hearing? Anyone that'd like to address the council under the public hearing? Okay, hearing no comment on this issue, I'm closing the public hearing and I'm bringing this back to the council for consideration.
Through the mayor.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt a resolution that would amend the city's fee schedule to include new fees for the processing of wireless telecommunication facility permits in the city's public right-of-way. Also, that would authorize the city manager to execute a master license agreement with New Singular Wireless PCS LLC, AT&T, for use of municipal facilities to install small wireless facilities.
Second.
I have a motion and I have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Okay, we will move on to agenda item 25, which is the time extension for Development Plan 20-03, the Richland Village Affordable Housing Development and associated city funding commitment. Mr. Moody, you have the floor.
All right, so this item has been before you in the past for the majority of the council. And so what we're talking about tonight is the Richland Village Affordable Housing. And with that, it was previously given a development entitlement. And so that development plan, that development entitlement, per the city's municipal code, is valid for 2 years. And then with that, there was a request for matching funds because of the funding. It's a mixed bag of funding that goes into this. And it was the leverage as much local money and as much funding as they can to try to bring in the funding. And so there's been, with inflation, with the approval, since the approval, there's been inflation in construction costs, and there's been an effort from the Regional Housing Authority to figure out how to make that gap funding work to build this project. And so a little background, in December 2020, the Planning Commission recommended approval of 176 unit development. It's located here east of Garden Highway, just west of the airport. January 21, City Council approved Richland Village Development Plan 20-03 and formed an ad hoc committee regarding the funding request. In May 21, City Council approved the funding request for $1 million. In August 22, City Council approved a 2-year time extension. So this will be the second time extension, expiring January 19, 2025, so early next month. In August 24, RHA proposed an amended project reducing the number of units to 133. So in order to help figure out this gap financing, they took a look at the project and reduced the number of units in accordance with the CEQA, in accordance with the development plan, and with the densities that were allowed to try to figure out a way to come up with that funding gap, and then also put in applications for other funding types. And then tonight, November 2024, a time extension request was received that we're processing tonight for consideration. Mr. Becerra with RHA is here. He definitely could add any context regarding the status of the project. So here's a high-level layout. Maybe a little hard to see with some of the buildings. So this is where things get sticky. It's been brought up before that affordable housing isn't affordable to build. And so $467,000 per unit. The project was originally awarded $30 million. I think I heard the number was with $8.5 million of that, because of the funding type, need to go to transit. But I want to say we have it in here that's about a $60 million project that they're trying to find funding for. So through the analysis, conditions of approval for the project remain valid. With development plans being a 2-year timeline, it's pretty typical that we see these back for time extension requests. The extension requested due to the timing of applying for additional funding and a time extension for the development plan entitlement. So there's 2 items. There's the extension of the development plan, and then there's the consideration of extending the funding request. And the current funding request is the existing commitment tied to low mod housing fund. And so with that, staff is recommending a 2-year extension of time for Development Plan 2003 and the associated city funding commitment pursuant to City Municipal Code. And I'd be happy to answer any questions. And then also, again, Gus is in the audience to help provide any status of the project.
Thank you, Mr. Moody. Any questions from the council?
Just have a comment when that's appropriate.
Okay. You want to wait until after public comments, if any, before you make yours? Sure. All right. Mr. Becerra, would you like to make any comments before we open it up to the public?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Wanted to add a little more background on the progress that we've made. This project, I should say, very challenging to finance, not uncommon with the limited resources in financing these deals, both on the federal, state, and local government side. In addition to the $30 million that Mr. Moody mentioned that has been secured, and even backing out the $8.5 million that's earmarked for the Yuba City Transit expansion facility, or new facility, we've been able to secure a number of other financing sources for the deal. The California Energy Commission has a program called Blvd. We've secured a $900,000 award from them. Our board earlier this year approved a $1 million financial commitment, as well as the land that's already been committed by our board previously. The Yuba City Homeless Consortium has made an award of $200,000 into the project. State HCD, Housing and Community Development, we have a $7.5 million commitment from there in a program called Infill Infrastructure Grant, and your staff assisted us with that application. And then we have 2 loan deferrals from Sutter County and the Yuba City Unified School District doing a simple interest loan on their impact fees. The school district did 50% of their fees structured in this loan package, and the county did 100% of their fees structured in the same manner. So I just wanted to give that background on other sources that we've been able to secure in addition to the AHSC funding that Mr. Moody outlined today. And then I want to talk a little bit about just hurdles that we've faced as a developer of affordable housing, particularly for this project. 6-7 years ago, the state came up with a mapping system essentially of the entire state of California called the High Opportunity Maps. And there's 3 categories, well, 4 categories: the highest resource, the high resource, the moderate resource, and the low resource. And essentially what that means is the state has determined that parcels of land located in the highest resource category is where the best public schools are located, where the best job opportunities are located for residents of affordable housing. And then the inverse, as the lowest resource category, means, according to the state, not their words, not mine, schools that rank, I guess, lower within their district, and the least amount of job opportunities for residents. This parcel of land is located in what the state has deemed the low resource. That becomes a category in all these funding applications that we apply for. And because it's located in a low resource, we don't score the highest points there. And it's state law, and there's no way around that. So that's a big hurdle that we face every time we apply for financing. Not to say it can't be financed. We have financed projects in our 4-county jurisdiction in low resource areas, but Yuba City, unfortunately, competes in what's called the Northern Capital Region. And so we're up against the Sacramentos, the West Sacs, the Rosevilles, and they're just hard to beat because of the amount of money that they pour into their deals. So we're trying, and we'll keep trying. Just this last tax credit financing round, we were able to secure financing for a project up in Truckee, and that was our 6th tax credit application for that deal, which is tied with Richland Village now. So it can be done, and we're pretty confident that we'll get it financed at some point or the other. So happy to answer any questions. Sorry for the long-winded background.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Becerra. Does any of the council have questions for Mr. Becerra? All right. Then thank you, sir. We'll open it up to public comment. Is there any public comment on this agenda item? Any public comment? Okay. Seeing none, move it back to the council. Vice Mayor?
Through the mayor, as the council's representative to the Regional Housing Authority, Mr. Becerra covered a lot of the material I was going to try to give you on a backfill. Their organization is capable and is doing projects. It's just, as he mentioned, an extremely dynamic situation right now as it relates to gathering funds, especially with the state and in recent decisions that the state has made. I think it's imperative for us to continue to support this project. This is going to be meaningful to our residents when and if we can get this. And I'm not going to say if, I'm going to say when. But this is something that is going to take a bit, probably. But at the same time, if we keep on it with the partnership with the Housing Authority, I think we can get it done. And when that happens, it's going to be a great day for those who need assistance in housing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments or questions from the council? Mr. Becerra, you had
Through the
one?
mayor.
Go right ahead.
I think I'd just like some clarification on the 8.5 million. Does that stay whether we approve a 2-year extension or not for the Yuba City Transit?
So that was part of the $30 million AHSC program grant. And so you guys could definitely go into some details, but there was, with that grant application, there was a transit component where they were going to do a bike lane and some other improvements for the sidewalks. And so that would be, it was a success where not only is it funding for the housing unit, but it's also funding for those transportation improvements. But it ties to the 30 million. So if they never build the 30 million, we never get it. The transit never gets it.
Good. All right. Question for you, Mr. Becerra. We know that we need subsidized housing in our community, to affordable subsidized either way. Like we need those 177 units, but the way that the state is slow rolling a lot of their money, is there any possibility of continuing to pursue the grant funding and such, but build this out in phases to get some of this started ahead of time so that we're not breaking ground in 2 years, we're breaking ground in the spring? Is that a possibility?
Not necessarily in phases, Mr. Mayor, but the reason we reduced it from 176 to 133 units is we essentially have all of our financing with the exception of the tax credit financing.
Okay.
There's 2 types of tax credits, federal and state. The state tax credits are much more difficult to get. There's just less of that source of funding. So working with your staff, we downsized the project to 133 units, and that eliminates the state credits. So that's a funding source that we don't need anymore. Yes, we lose 43 units out of the deal, but the most difficult funding source is out of the equation now. We are in discussions with the state of California because of the AHSC grant was funded under the premise of 176 units, but they won't let us phase it. So we either build 133 or we don't build any, and we lose the largest source that we already have committed. So unfortunately, we cannot phase it. We're already, we're already kind of on thin ice with the state where we're pleading to them, let us build 133 as opposed to 176. That was the condition of their 176. I think what's saving us is, because that money's about to sunset also, we're working with them on an extension. I think what's saving us right now is the link to the Yuba City Transit project. The state of California loves housing projects that are linked to transit. It's part of the governor's goals and what have you with greenhouse gas emissions, and that partnership with Yuba City Transit is really what's keeping the deal alive with the state of California. But phasing, unfortunately, we can't, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. Is there any other questions comments? Then I'll bring it back to council for action.
Through the mayor,
Yes, sir.
move to approve a 2-year extension of time for Development Plan 20-03 and the associated city funding commitment pursuant to the City Municipal Code, Section 8-5.7106, resulting in a new expiration date of January 19th, 2027.
Have a motion to have a second?
Second.
Okay. Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Motion carries. Mr. Becerra, you got 2 years. Let's get it built.
Thank you, council and staff, and Merry Christmas to all.
Merry Christmas. All right, let's move on to agenda item 26, the General Plan Amendment 24-02 and Rezone 2404 for the Gary Smith project located at 2192 Live Oak Boulevard. Jaspreet, nice to have you here tonight.
Hi, good evening. It's a pleasure to be here to present the next two items on the agenda. So the first one we have is going to be consideration of General Plan Amendment 2402 and Rezone 2404 from manufacturing, processing, and warehousing light industrial to community commercial. So this the site is located on a 0.43 acre parcel at the southwest corner of Live Oak Boulevard and Northgate Drive. And these are the current pictures of the site. So it's currently, the business that's there is Road Safe, where they sell PPE equipment to contractors. And you can see the site plan as shown on the screen. So what the applicant is proposing is a general plan amendment. Again, just rezoning or amending the general plan from industrial to a commercial, community commercial. The site is surrounded by, to the north, we do have the city water treatment plant, and then the site is So we do have industrial, and then we do have residential. So this is a mobile home park. And then along this site, we do actually have its residential, and then we do have the Nice Inn hotel, or the California Inn, my apologies. And then on the right, you will see what they're currently proposing to change it to commercial. And on the screen again, you can see what the current zonings are. So changing it from M1 to C2, community commercial. And the future conversion, it will require a building permit. So the applicant will submit plans and it will be subject to comply with all of our Yuba City municipal codes. So the development standards, which includes the building height, setbacks, lighting, landscaping, parking, signage, and trash enclosures. And so we did do an analysis for the traffic. So due to the property's small size, we don't anticipate redevelopment of this site to result in significant traffic generation. The Public Works Department also concluded that local street improvements will mitigate traffic concerns, and that potential impacts on nearby streets will be less than significant. So you might be wondering, what are they proposing? We got elevation. So our applicant, he is proposing to do something very similar to Carriage Square. So all the exterior will be renovated, and there will be an addition to the site as well. Here is the proposed site plan. So you can see that there will be new parking along this property. We will have new landscaping in the front as well to the north, and he will be removing the existing chain link fence. So it will be a major improvement to this intersection. And what he would like to do is a professional service facility, such as like a barber shop or a beauty parlor. An environmental assessment was also completed, and then there is no evidence in the record that the proposed project will have a significant effect on the environment. And so our municipal code, it does require that the general plan findings shall be made. So this was presented in the staff report in the resolution. We also have some rezone findings that are required, and again, it was presented in the staff report, but I'm happy to go into it in further detail if requested. So our recommendation tonight is shown on the screen to conduct a public hearing, adopt a resolution to approve the environmental assessment and the general plan amendments, and introduce an ordinance and waive the first reading. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the council?
Through the mayor?
Yes, sir.
If approved, do you have a timeline at all on when they might initiate all these nice changes?
So when I spoke to the applicant, he said within the year he would like to start making the improvements to the site.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the council? All right. Hearing no further questions, the public hearing for General Plan Amendment 2402 and Rezone 2404 for the Gary Smith project located at 2192 Live Oak Boulevard is now open. If there are any members of the public who would like to address the council on this issue, please provide your statement via public comment. State your name and address for the record. Do we have any comments for this public hearing? Do we have any comments for this public hearing? Okay. Hearing no comments on this issue, I am closing the public hearing and bringing this matter back to council.
Move to adopt item number 26, adopt the resolution of the City Council of the City of Yuba City Council approving environmental assessment 24-09 by adopting a mitigated negative declaration subject to mitigation measures and approved general plan amendment GPA 24-02, redesigning 0.43 acres for the manufacturing, processing, warehousing, land use designation to the community commercial designation, and introduce an ordinance to the City Council of the City of Yuba City to adopt a rezone 24-04, rezoning 0.43 acres light industrial district M1 zone district to community commercial C2 zone district for the Smith project located at 2192 Live Oak Boulevard, APN 51-490-028, and waive the first reading.
Second.
I have a motion and I have a second, and thank you for reading every bit of that, Mike. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Motion carries. All right, we will move right on to agenda item 27, which is General Plan Amendment 24-03, Tentative Subdivision Map 24-04, and Plan Development 19, which is Brownstone Estates located on north sides of North Colusa Frontage Road between Hooper and El Margarita. You still have the floor, ma'am.
All right, thank you. So our purpose for this agenda item is consideration of Environmental Assessment 2410, General Plan Amendment 2403, a Tentative Subdivision Map 2404, and a Plan Development 19 for the project known as Brownstone Estates. So this project site consists of 7.84 acres located on the north side of North Colusa Frontage Road between Hooper Road and El Margarita. A little bit of background. So in November 2021, Planning Commission approved tentative subdivision map Henson Ranch to divide the original 25 acres into 96 single-family residential lots. And the subject 7.84 acre parcel was the remainder. In December 2022, Planning Commission considered a general plan amendment and a rezone, and then the proposal at that time was denied, and the applicant was requested to come back with a development plan. In August 2023, the Planning Commission considered a general plan amendment, a rezone, and the development plan to redesignate the site to a medium high density and rezone to a multiple family residential district, and the development plan for construction of a 138 apartment complex. In April of 2024, the applicant came back to the city and resubmitted an application for a general plan amendment in the tentative subdivision map and the plan development. And then at the regular meeting in November 2024, the Yuba City Planning Commission conducted a public hearing and adopted a resolution recommending approval to City Council for the entitlements. So the general plan amendment, it's currently the existing is office and office park, and what's being proposed is a low density residential, which allows for 2 to 8 units per acre. And on this screen, we have the tentative subdivision map. So this is going to be for 54 new residential homes. And they are also going to have frontage improvements along Colusa Frontage Road. So that will include new lighting, sidewalk, curb, gutter, as well as landscaping. And we did work with the applicant. Originally, we had it where there was going to be parking along Colusa Frontage Road. However, that has been removed. So there will be no designated parking on Colusa Frontage. So it allowed for the lots to be a bit bigger, so longer in depth. So this site does come with the planned development. So what they are proposing is to amend our standard R1 developments to what would only qualify for this subdivision. So they are reducing the minimum lot size as well as increasing the percentage of lot coverage. And the minimum front yard setbacks are different as shown on the screen. So on the left, we have our standards, and then on the right is going to be the planned development and design standards. So I'm happy to go into further details if council has any questions. So for my next slide, we have the analysis. So this site is zoned for single-family residential homes. However, the general plan and zoning, they don't match. So that's what we're doing here tonight is we're going to align the zoning and general plan to coincide. There is the residential development to the north of the property, which was approved by Planning Commission in November 2021, which is the Henson Ranch. So this project is located on the southern portion of the Tierra Buena area with a mix of residential types and uses. So we've got existing single family, the new single family to the north, Henson Ranch, which is under construction. And we also have small apartments to the east. And then with that, the proposed density is approximately 6.89 units per acre. We did have a traffic study completed. So since this project has come to us a couple times now, what's shown on this screen is the multi-family trip generation versus the general office, so what it's currently zoned as, and then switching from multifamily to single family. So this traffic study showed that there would be 421 fewer trips generated between the multifamily and single family, and then it was 529 fewer trips between general office and single family. So overall, we are reducing the traffic from what it's currently zoned as. There was also a noise study that was completed, and so there are potential impacts from Colusa Highway on the proposed development. So a condition has been added to require a masonry type wall, and that will be constructed along Colusa frontage as shown in purple on the screen. And this is an example of what it would look like. So it is, this is on Colusa Frontage Road, just adjacent to the Walnut Park Estates. An environmental was prepared for this site as well, and there's no evidence in the record that the proposed project will have a significant effect on the environment. And so we do have the same general plan amendment findings, which were in your resolution. And again, I'm happy to go over it if needed. There are the plan development findings, which are also required and was presented in the staff report. We also have tentative subdivision map findings. And again, they were presented in your staff report. So my recommendation tonight is to conduct a public hearing and then adopt a resolution approving the environmental assessment and approving the general plan amendment and tentative subdivision map, and to introduce an ordinance approving the plan development 19 on North Colusa frontage between Hooper Road and El Margarita. I'm happy to answer any questions. We do have the project engineer, Mr. Sean Menard, as well as the applicant, Mandy Pabla, in the audience, if you have any questions for them.
Thank you. Any questions from Ms. Gore? All right. Hearing no questions from the council, the public hearing for the general plan amendment 24-03, tentative subdivision map 24-04, and Plan Development 19, Brownstone Estates, located on the north side of North Colusa Frontage Road between Hooper Road and El Margarita Road, is now open. If there are any members of the public who would like to address the council on this issue, please provide your statement via public comment. State your name and address for the record. Is there anyone who would like to address this council during the public hearing?
I'm Rob Deach. I live on Bryn Mawr. Been about 6-7 years. I just came here for clarification because I don't seem to religiously and regularly get informed of what's going on, but this letter did make it to me. And I know that they were going to do apartments, going to go 3 stories originally from what was the zoning for light commercial. Appears we would readdress that if I'm fully understanding, and forgive me for being a time waster, but we're going to go to now single-family, detached residential units, as we have on one side of my hood and the other side of my hood, slang term. And then we're going to put a nice frontage wall along that that's going to have attractive landscaping, sidewalks, because this older streets where I live, I mean, you park a car on each side and you drive 2 cars down the street and there's room, you know? Not all subdivisions are like this in today's world. And that's a little concern of mine because we're predominantly a retiree little neighborhood in there. The new stuff is bringing a new element to us, but the dog walking, the grandkids, the bicycling, all those things that make life pleasant when you get up in life to enjoy the outdoors. So that's what I just hope I understood correctly here. We're going to have a nice little, that frontage road's not exactly your safest tour of duty, if you will. You know what I'm saying? And now we're going to have a sidewalk, a gutter, a wall, nice landscaping so it'll look attractive. And people won't have their garage doors and stuff open where you got to look at their collectibles, for a polite word, if you will. And it'll be done kind of first class. Am I getting the gist here properly, young lady?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Okay, that's all it was. I didn't mean to be a nag, but I kind of, you know, when you get in your 60s and you kind of want to enjoy your house and walk the dog, you don't want to be, you know, feeling like it's gone from a community that's a little bit out of town. Terra Buena is not exactly what I call, you know, the high end, but in the same token, you appreciate that. That's the beauty of what brings that area to the table for people who want a safe, quiet environment. You know what I'm saying? And the elements that sometimes come in with high density housing can be less than appreciated, is all I can say. So thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. And I wish you a Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Merry Christmas as well. Any other comments under this public hearing? Any other comments under this public hearing? All right, hearing no further public comments on this issue, I am closing the public hearing and bringing this matter back to council.
Through the mayor.
Yes, sir.
This project has had its life. Pablo, thank you for your patience working through the city, and city staff, thank you for working with Mr. Pablo, and Mr. Menard, thank you for your expertise in putting this together. And you know, I am quite enthusiastic to see this project continue to move forward and improve the property there. What's going to happen to that piece of ag equipment that's sitting out there? Okay. Someone was asking me if that was going to be like a piece, an art piece or something, but I appreciate that. I don't have any other questions, but I would like to make the motion when the time comes.
All right. Is there any other comments from the council? Hearing none. Mr. Vice Mayor.
Mr. City Attorney.
I have already closed the public hearing. Yes, sir.
Is it necessary for me to read all this since it was a public hearing?
You can just say motion to approve the resolution, then you would have to read word for word the ordinance portion.
Okay.
Thank you.
So through the mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve item 27, item B, and introduce an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Yuba City approving the plan development X19 on 7.84 acres located on the north side of the North Colusa Frontage Road between Hooper Road and El Margarita Road. This is assessors parcels numbers 62-082-019, 020, and 021, and waive the first reading.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a first and I have a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you. We will move to agenda item 28, which is the update for X19, combining zoning districts. Mr. Levy, welcome to the podium. You have the floor.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Okay, this item, consider basically updating our X19 combining zoning district. So really what this is the zoning code allows for special overlay districts to be created and attached to the base zoning. So in this case, if you look up on the screen, you'll see the CO, that's the office commercial zoning, and in this case, it has the X19. And so that becomes the overall zoning. And it allows the city to provide additional standards to either a parcel or to a larger area. And so over time, 24 of these X combining districts have been adopted. The X19 district that's at issue tonight was originally established to provide for future traffic improvements to Walton Avenue and Lassen Boulevard and Tharp Road, Harder Road, and Lassen Boulevard. And since the X19 district was established, there have been other programs put in place, such as our impact fee program, newer traffic model update, traffic forecast operations analysis. And in a nutshell, it's really made the X19 district unnecessary today. And I think the council will remember two projects in particular. We have the Spirit Drive parcel map that actually a part of their entitlements were to remove the X19 district. And then we have the more recent Sutter County Superintendent of Schools Career Training Center that was also approved to remove the X19 district. And you can see by looking at what remains of it, it's kind of fragmented and there's just not a lot of it remaining. So the city is processing several entitlements focused around the intersection of State Highway 20 and El Margarita Road. You see those up on the map. Now, each one of those projects has an impact on that intersection to varying degrees. And you can also see from the kind of faded aerial that south along El Margarita Road, there's quite a bit of land that can still be developed. And so as a result, staff is looking to, as they tell us, we need to recycle and reuse. So we're not looking to create a new X19 district, but we're looking to recycle the current one. Have staff study the area and come back with an updated district boundary and policies that are focused on traffic improvements at the intersection of Highway 20 and El Margarita Road. So really, the issue tonight is provide feedback to staff, and then we recommend initiating that municipal code amendment to revise the X19 district. Happy to answer any questions you may have. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Libby. Is there any questions from the council? Hearing none, is there any comments from the public? Any comments from the public? Hearing none, I will bring it back to the council for action.
Through the mayor?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to initiate a municipal code amendment to revise the X19 combining district to provide for future intersection improvements at the State Highway 20/El Margarita Road intersection.
Second.
I have a first and I have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. And I was an aye, by the way. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Libby.
Thank you, council, and welcome, Councilmember Cole.
At this time, I'm going to call a 3-minute recess, and we will come back into general session in a few minutes. All right, the council will come back to order. We're going to move on to agenda item 29, planning fee division fee schedule update. Mr. Moody, you have the floor, sir.
All right, so this item is talking fees. You know, it's never fun thing to discuss, but it's time to evaluate. And so, as we've, Development Services Department, and occasionally, annually, we adjust our fees through a cost inflation factor through the CPI. But when you look at the city's fees, we haven't really analyzed them and set them since 2001. And so where they're at is when I collect funds for general plan amendments, these planning entitlements, these development plans, where we're at is the processes and the analysis that's done has changed in 20 years. There's more tribal components, there's more review, there's more CEQA. Just to put in a notification in the newspaper costs $500, and just the notification process. So we're not collecting anywhere near the amount of cost. And so with the city ordinance, there's an effort there to analyze the fees and then to recover costs. And so I had staff look into a quick analysis to where are the city's fees at. And so just as a baseline, I took 10 comparable cities in the area, and we looked at what their fees were versus what the city's charging. And then I looked at the median, the mean, and then the actual costs for certain number of those fees. We didn't do a deep dive for every single type of fee. We have fees for time extensions, lot line adjustments, certificates of compliance, et cetera. And so what we found is that, in short, the city is the green here, and the median, the mean, the average is the blue, and the median being that middle between those 10 cities is up here in the tan, I would say. And so systematically across, and we've known this, is that our fees are relatively very cheap, and they're not even covering for those mailers that have to go out to everybody within 300 to 500 feet and paying for those notices in the newspaper, besides the staff time that goes into that. And I'm always cautious with fees. You know, the reason the city is here and the city staff is here is to help with our economic development and help projects move forward. And then there's long-term benefit with delivering projects that produce property tax and sales tax that increase the overall economics and long-term payoff for those costs. And so, but I think it is time to look at these fees. And so I'm here tonight to basically get input from City Council, specifically where you want to be as far as potentially when I come back. If you want me to adjust the fees, look into these fees in depth, and then look at options regarding full cost recovery, setting it somewhere in the middle, and then also implementation timeline. And so here's another quick graph. With the green, the takeaway here is the actual costs are always higher than what is being charged historically across the region in those cities. And so, and this is a quick analysis, again, based on typical staff time, mailers, attorney time, the planning commission, the time to go to the planning commission, time to go to city council, et cetera. And so the green is the actual costs. Where I'm recommending is to be somewhere in the middle, that median. We set it somewhere where we're not covering the full cost, but we're shooting for something that's we're not, you know, so our general plan amendment, you go to some of these cities, it's $20,000, but we're putting it, you know, somewhere in the median, which would be about $9,000. And so really what I have tonight, in order to move forward with this analysis and to implement the fees, I'm requesting your feedback on what level of cost recovery the city council is comfortable with, and then the implementation timeline, or if this is even the time to do this with the current things that are going on. And so I'm happy to answer any questions regarding the process and fees.
Thank you, Mr. Moody. Before we conduct a public hearing, is there any questions from the council?
Through the mayor,
sir.
Mr. Moody, I'm not sure, you may have already done this. Is there any plan to get together with the builders and developers and seek their input as well?
Yes, absolutely. The plan is once we work through kind of the proposed fee, what that's going to be is to get input from the local builders, developers, the engineers that we work with regularly, just to find out where we're at. And because as we see growth and as we push to see these developments occur, we don't want to put another roadblock in there, but we want to be at least try to capture those costs to pay for the newspaper bill.
appreciate that response. Thank you.
Any other questions from the council? Okay. Seeing none, the public hearing for the Planning Division fee schedule update is now open. If there are any members of the public who would like to address the council on this issue, please provide your statement via public comment and state your name and address for the record. And I will remind you, when the public hearing is closed, we move on from that. So now is the time. Is there any comments from the public? Any comments from the public? Hearing no comments on this issue, I'm closing the public hearing and bringing this matter back to council for some kind of discussion and direction. Botch, gentlemen.
Yeah.
He's keeping me straight up here. So
This is what I like what you, Councilmember Mark, was saying earlier about bringing in the stakeholders on this. We don't want to scare off any development by putting a shock to the system. So I think we probably start there, but we want to recoup our costs too. And so I think somewhere where we're a little bit more reasonably competitive. I don't know if that's much of an answer, is it? That's my 2 cents.
Through the mayor, I think my 2 cents or my 1/5 is that we do need to take a look. I think once you gather the data and get the feedback from the builders, developers, and the engineers, I think we can probably make a better assessment of what things we want to move and maybe what things we don't want to move. But I support that you're moving ahead with this. Thanks.
Through the mayor.
Yes, sir.
23 years of not looking at this is beyond out of date. And Councilmember Baumgartner's comment about picking and choosing, I think, is a wise idea of what we approach. And I'm all in favor of falling somewhere in that median.
Yeah, through the mayor. I would echo what Mark said as well, and Mike. It's dismaying to hear that the fees haven't really been looked at in this long, so maybe going forward, look at them every few years or so, but definitely some of these increases are shocking. So I don't know if any of these proposed fees I would be for, but as the others have said, it's time to increase them to some degree and eventually try to get those costs back.
Any other comments from the council? Mr. Moody, I would echo what you've heard thus far. And back to what Vice Mayor Baumgarten said, we definitely need the numbers so that we can look at it, what our cost is, what that median is, and then that feedback coming in. But one thing that we've noticed with a lot of the things over the years, we also might want to look at a inflationary cost index on this for all future so that we don't get caught off for 23 years of.
So this does have an inflation inflator. So they were set up in 2001, and we've been doing the 2.5%, 3%, some of the big ones, but it hasn't. The processes have changed so much in the notification process that it's not keeping up with it. But I definitely hear you.
Yeah, just one word, we live in California, so yeah. It's a lot more than 2.5%. So just want to try to keep us up with it. But yeah, I think once we do what you've heard up here from the council, get those real numbers, and then we get with developers and builders to see where that delta is between the two, because we may not be able to recover all of our costs, but we can definitely remain business-friendly, competitive, and absorb what's a red line on our budget right now. So have you got enough that you need tonight?
I do. Thank you.
Anything else from the council?
I mean, I would like to hear if there's any thoughts on implementation when we come back, if that's more something with the fiscal year, or if it's we could decide at that time. But typically it would come through with when this analysis comes through, it's through a resolution to set those fees, and then it could be immediate or based on when that time is set. And so at this time, I would probably recommend it be at the fiscal year based on where we're at, and basically be in January.
Okay, sounds good. Any other questions from the council? All right, thank you, sir. We're going to move on to agenda item 30, which is the Planning Commission representation. Mr. Moody, you do have the floor again.
Okay, this is a big deal in my world, I would say, the Planning Commission. And so one of our duties with the Development Services Department is to coordinate with the Planning Commission. And so as the council is well aware, state laws recently have pushed for districting for representation, for local representation, for various reasons, pros and cons to it. But the city has gone to that 5-district model. And then so the Planning Commission currently exists where it's set up with at-large representation. And so there's 6 members at large and then 1 representative from the Sutter County, where one of our members then also serves on the Sutter County, where Sutter County has 5 district reps and a rep from Live Oak and a rep from Yuba City on there to make a 7. Odd is typically ideal, so there's no even votes. And so there's an opportunity, I guess, you could say, the council has an option to do this at any time, but with the recent changing to districts for the city council, and then right now there's 4 vacancies, or there's 1 vacancy with 3 planning commissioners coming up to term that in the next couple months where they term out. There's 4 vacancies out of those 6. That's not being the Sutter County rep, that are up for renewal, replacement, for consideration. And so it's an opportunity for the council to look and consider, do they also want to change the Planning Commission model to go to district representation? And so with that, again, this is an option to provide staff feedback and initiate if there's a desire to go to this districting representation for the Planning Commission with the municipal code, it needs to be initiated by the council for staff and then take it through the Planning Commission and then ultimately to the City Council for approval. I'd be happy to provide any answers I can.
All right, any questions or comments from the council this evening? Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Moody, just real quick. So in theory, if the council moves forward with this, we would move from being at large, where candidates would be interviewed by the mayor and the vice mayor, to districting, and they would be appointed by the council person in that district, or they'd still go through the mayor and the vice mayor for appointment?
So that's really on the table. And so what's being considered is a rewrite of the city council. I know the city attorney definitely can have some information and can weigh in on this, on options.
Mr. Chaffin, in not only answering that, can you kind of give us an overview of what other cities have done that's been faced in this situation with going to districts? And I think that'll answer a lot of the questions that we have up here.
Thank you, and that'd probably be helpful for the public. By way of background, for those of you in the audience, I've sat on dozens and dozens and dozens of planning commission meetings and seen various compositions of PCs or planning commissions up and down the state. And I've seen what works and I've seen what doesn't work, and I've seen how they've done different things. And there's advantages to and disadvantages with every system. One thing that many cities do as they convert to districts is they also convert to the selection of the planning commissioners by district as well. One way that is done, that is commonly done, that I've seen at least work well in the past, is the individual council members will select a person from their district and they will nominate it for approval of the city council as a whole. So it would not be going to the mayor unless it was from the mayor's district, or the vice mayor unless it was the vice mayor's district. Now, with that process, I've also seen what I call the safety valves. And that is sometimes, despite our best efforts as, trying to select the best candidates, sometimes you have a candidate that does not align with the council's vision. So typically with those, I've seen what I would call the safety valve, and that is the ability of a majority of the city council, after they've appointed someone, to be able to remove and then appoint with deference to the individual council member to select somebody else from that district to fill that slot if necessary. I hope that answered your question. I can certainly go on for hours, and I'm sure you don't want me to.
All right. Vice Mayor.
Sure. Through the mayor, a couple things. I think it's time for us to take a look at this. I think what you're going to bring forward is something for us to review. So we're not necessarily making a full-on change. We're reviewing, giving you direction to propose something that we can all take a look at, and if we need to modify, correct?
Correct.
I would make one comment. Right now, we have 4 seated planning commissioners actually we have 5. 4 of them are in District 4 and 1 in District 5. So when you have issues, and we've had issues over the last few years, there's districts that probably ought to have a planning commissioner in that area to weigh in on that. Not that the 4 or 5 that we have aren't doing that, but that was a comment I got when we had the issue up in the northwest portion of Yuba City is no one lives there. They don't care. And so this would be one method of possibly addressing that, is that folks that are represented geographically will perhaps have much more of a stake in the geography from which they live. I think the other key component here is that this is kind of a major deal, because we would be conceptually anyway, or for a review, not partnering with a Sutter County planning commissioner. And so the question I have as we continue to move forward here is, I know that we have some control over planning within the sphere of influence. Is that conditioned upon having a Sutter County planning commissioner on our planning commission? Or is that an independent agreement that?
So I understand, I might lean on Doug, but if it's in the sphere of influence, it's routed to the cities for review.
Is that by an agreement, or is that a handshake agreement? How did that transfer?
Let me get my LAFCO expert and ask Sutter County rep up.
He is an expert.
So thank you. So within the sphere of influence, jurisdictions, they're required to get the input of like the county required to get the input of the city if some action is being taken within our sphere of influence. So that's just a matter of course of business, has nothing to do with a planning commissioner serving on our commission or vice versa.
I know that you have history on both sides here. Is there a potential for a disagreement between what the county might permit outside of the corporate city limits, but within the city's sphere of influence?
The county's zoning is largely geared to agricultural uses. There could be an instance of I could think of maybe some agricultural processing that could come up with that may not be desirable in the sphere of influence, potentially. However, there's a lot of small parcels in our sphere of influence, and so that kind of largely negates a lot of that from occurring.
Okay, appreciate that answer, thanks. That concludes my questions.
Okay. Any questions? None? So really what we're circling back to is, we're at a point in time that we've just gone through the districting here. So really you're wanting us to give you direction if we want to change the philosophy of how our commissioners and our planning commission is formed to realign with where we truly are. And then we'll figure out how to make the sausage later, but we got to figure out if we want sausage tonight, right?
Well stated.
Okay. So with that, 1 of 5, I think it's time that we align these. What that looks like, I would ask for you guys to work and bring us something back with our city attorney. I would just ask my colleagues if they differ in any way, or we want to bring this back with some direction of looking at going to districting. Or for districting?
Through the mayor.
Yes.
I'm just not sure if right now is the right time to speak to this. I have plenty to say, but I actually lean opposed to districting, but maybe we can, I don't know if we can talk another time about it.
Okay. There'll be plenty of opportunity at the next. This is just for them to bring us back something.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Out of that, I think that I need to go that way real quick, don't I? Yeah. I saw the look over there. Is there any public comments concerning changing the planning commission? Any public comments concerning changing the planning commission? Hearing none, I'll bring it back to the council, and where I was going to conclude, Mr. Chaffin.
Just really quickly, so that staff maybe has some guidelines as to where the council is going. Assuming the council decides to go to a district process of selection, my understanding, the council is probably looking at somewhere around 5 members, 1 from each district, each selected by the district, the person from that district, ratified by a majority of the city council. It would be for 4-year terms or whatever it is. There would be some overlap to allow new council members time to locate planning commissioners to substitute out for the ones that were appointed by the priors. There would be a safety valve for removal or the opportunity for the city council to keep the current authority that it has. And there would probably be some sort of rotation that would be sync up with the districting so that we have timing correct. Okay, thank you.
I would like to request clarification in terms of the process, because currently the city clerk sends out notice to the public to get applications for planning commissioners. Would it be the council's direction that as part of the process, the city clerk would be sending out by district requests for people to submit applications, and then the council members would be reviewing the submitted applications? Or is it the intent that the council members are finding somebody within their district to nominate?
I think it's kind of a 2-part, but I think there should be, but that's kind of getting into the sausage if you guys want to do that now. I mean, there needs to be a process.
The reason I'm saying this is because in terms of a time crunch, we are somewhat up against a time crunch because we need to bring something forward January 21st in terms of an ordinance update so that it can be adopted the first meeting of February, because we have planning commissioners rotating off the end of February. And so if we don't take action soon, then we're going to have an issue of not having enough planning commissioners to have a quorum, or needing to extend the current terms of the existing planning commissioners. And so the more detail we can get to include into the ordinance update, the better, so that we're not making changes on January 21st and then having to bring it back again.
Through the mayor.
Go ahead, sir.
Diana, has the current planning commission group been given a heads up that this is a possibility?
Yes. I'll let Ben speak to that. He addressed.
Yes, and so at the last planning commission here last week, it was brought up in discussion. And as Councilmember Boomgarden noted, there is a little potential conflict there that we're going to have to deal with, is because even though we have some going off, they've reapplied, and there's strong representation in District 4. And so that would only be one carryover from that area going to a district model.
The mayor, if I may.
Yes, sir.
There is a process that you can't do temporary extensions, but your current code allows for you to reappoint under the current system. And then if you need, as a backstop, additional time, you could update the new system in whatever month that you end up doing that. And also, you would basically remove the extended or whoever else that you appointed, and then replace them as part of the new ordinance process, much like the city council went through when we switched to a districting system. It was kind of halfway in the middle of everything, and then you segued into it. So that is an option. It's maybe not desirable, but it might be able to buy you a little bit more time if needed.
Okay, thank you, sir. And I think that's part of kind of everything coming back. It would be, what is a potential ordinance going to look like? What's a transition possibly going to look like? What's the procedures? And just 1 of 5, Ms. Langley, I think we do need an application process, because it needs to be open to all the constituents in our district to apply. And then as, good members of this council, we need to interview those and not just go find our friend to do this. So I think it'd be a good process that we go through. That would give us 5. So Mr. Chaffin, I do have another question for you concerning our current makeup of our planning commission. And you've been the attorney for a lot of planning commissions. Currently, one of the reasons there's as many as there are is because the county is a voting member of our planning commission. Kind of two parts. Number one, is that common? And number two, if it's not, how can we, still work with the county, but yet maintain the voting rights for 5 and still get the same thing done that we've been getting done? Am I making sense?
Yes. So I've looked at dozens and dozens and dozens of way too many planning commissions and how they're set up. And out of all the planning commissions I have looked into and run into, only one planning commission that I am aware of in the state of California has a representative from the county and also provides one from the city to the county, and that is the city of Yuba City and Sutter County. So the current system that you have is very unique. I've never seen it in any other jurisdiction. Instead, if there is a desire to engage the county and to make sure that there's an avenue for their voice to be heard, they will often appoint like a liaison or have both liaisons so that they can come, they can participate and report back to their jurisdictions, and they can speak during public comment, and they'll be able to, I'm not say represent the county or represent the city, but at least make sure that both jurisdictions are aware of what's going on. But I've never seen a system where one jurisdiction is voting for development in another jurisdiction, except for here.
Okay, thank you. So that would have to be something that would have to be addressed then as well. And is that part of what this council would want to look at as well? Because we're either going to be 5 and a liaison or whatever we call it, or we're going to be 6 and we're going to have to go figure out how to get to an odd number. So what is the pleasure of the council?
5 city representatives and a liaison from the county would be my preference.
Okay, same.
Just a clarification, so the liaison would not be a voting member. Okay, so I'll go with the 5 and the liaison.
I think you've got direction from all 5 members of the council.
Application.
Yeah,
I don't think she got consensus on that.
do we want an application process from?
Could I make just a suggestion? I recognize this is a policy issue. You can do whatever you want. But rather than putting it in an ordinance, which takes a lot to amend, you can set up your policy by resolution. So you could direct staff to come back and say, hey, we want to go through an application process or whatever else, and just put it in a resolution. And then that way, if you need to modify it to work for you, you can do that a lot more quickly.
I like nimble.
Yep. Does that work for the council? Okay. Mr. Moody?
One thing came to mind. We've paid the planning commissioners $75 a meeting for as long as I can remember. It's buried in the municipal code or a resolution that was updated. Do you want me to mess with any of the recovery? Or not cost recovery. I'm still talking about the other one. I could put a COLA. I could put a COLA to that number. I could adjust it or round it off, or I could just leave it the same. But there is a cost where we do pay the planning commission members $75 per meeting they attend.
I'm going to offer this. Or
let's ask the expert up
here.
Who's got dozens and dozens and dozens of planning commission.
Talk to the expert, not the idiots.
I don't want to say I'm an expert, but I've sat through way more planning commission meetings than I've ever wanted to over the last 25 years. But I've seen planning commissions do various things. For example, some offer a stipend to help cover at least gas time and everything else. That way it helps more fully encompass all economic levels within the city. The people who would normally be, like say, somebody who's retired or on a fixed income would have a better opportunity to participate. I've also seen planning commissions that do not have any stipends. I've seen planning commissions that do not have stipends, but they do offer dinner or food. So when you go there, you can eat, start business, and they're not hangry as they're making their decisions. And especially if the agendas are a lot longer. So the council has a lot of flexibility as to what it wants to do.
Mr. Chaffin, how much are Snickers bars?
That commercial resonated very well with me. So,
my suggestion on this was because it's already set at an amount. Correct. And we have to lead by example. And we've already cut the council. We froze ours when we had the opportunity to raise ours because of other interests for the city. I would say, and make the suggestion to the council, leave it just as it is for now. That's something we can always address at a later time. Does that work for this council?
Yes.
Okay. You're good, Mr. Moody?
We'll dive into the sausage. But yes, I mean, I hate to do this. One more is the chairman selection. That's come up. Maybe it's key for this group to have any input as far as has it been selected by the mayor or selected by the group at large.
I would say, Mr. Chaffin, let's rely on your experience and bring us what is the best option that you've seen working with them, because we can sit here and keep going round and around till 10 o'clock tonight.
The most successful chairs have been those selected by the Planning Commission itself.
There you go.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you. All right. You've got all you need, Mr. Moody?
Yes.
Mr. Chaffin, Ms. Langley, Mr. Levy, because you're going to be in the middle of this. You're good? All right. Thank you. All right, we will move it along to agenda item 31, future agenda items. This is the opportunity to discuss with the city manager items that came up tonight that the council would like to have brought back at a later date. Is there anything from tonight's meeting that the council would like to add to a future agenda? Hearing none, we're going to move right on to reports and communications, and we're going to start tonight with Ms. Langley.
Thank you. City Hall will be closed next week for the Christmas holiday and then again on January 1st. This Friday night, we have tree lighting on Pluma Street at 5:30 p.m. The January 7th council meeting is canceled. We have a joint workshop with the Sutter County Board of Supervisors on January 14th at 2 p.m. to have Pioneer Energy provide a presentation on the feasibility study with in regard to joining their CCA. And then also January 29th, we have the council's annual goal setting workshop. This one's going to be very important, not only for staff, but for the public to also pay attention to, because as part of it, the department heads will be doing presentations on reduction scenarios to the departments. They're going to be presenting on 5% and 10% budget reduction scenarios and the corresponding service impacts that will have. And so we want to make sure that the public's fully aware of what we're talking about and how services could potentially be impacted by those reduction scenarios. But with that, on a lighter note, Merry Christmas, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Langley. Coming to the council, Ms. Cole.
I'm looking forward to some committee assignments, so I have something to report, but right now I do not. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Councilmember Kirchner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just wrapping up committee assignments and business for the year. Gil Sizer, we did an approval of an independent consultant agreement with NBS Government Financial Group for the development of a financial management plan for the district. Sabufka pretty much was ongoing projects. Should point out that their prediction for a dry winter really hasn't worked out the way they thought it was, because it's been raining like crazy. Mosquito is in here someplace. Oh yeah, Mosquito just end of the year, short meeting. Yuba City Transit, which the mayor attended as well. We kind of had to do a little bit of adjustment. The long-term goal of the Yuba City Transit is to go to more of a micro and electric transportation, and their projections of the routes didn't work out the way they thought they would. They're a victim of their own success. Their numbers are up, and so instead of eliminating 2 of the routes, 2 and 5, they've decided to keep them as is, which I'm sure will make those people happy that depend on those routes day in and day out. I would like to mention I'm kind of proud of District 4 for being so involved with the Planning Commission selection and activity. I can't forget to welcome our newest councilwoman. Welcome. Look forward to working with you for the next 4 years, it looks like. So welcome. And Merry Christmas.
Councilmember Pasquale.
I had no committee meetings during this last 2 weeks, so I have nothing to report.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Attended the police promotion ceremony that they had. Three top-notch looking folks. Went to the Economic Development Commission open house where they received a $300,000 check from Wells Fargo. They're doing a lot of good things. As Councilmember Kirchner mentioned, we did have Sutter Butte's Flood Control Agency, nothing of major note, just a financial report and kind of wrapping up loose ends. We did say our goodbyes to a couple of members of Sabufka, Supervisor Conant and City Council Member Lockfear Gog were transitioning off the board. Went to the Downtown Business Association installation, very proud of our council. All 5 of us were there. I know it was greatly appreciated by the DBA. It's nice to have a good partnership with a vibrant group down there. Represented the city at wreaths across America out in the gale force winds and heavy rain out at Sutter Cemetery, that is. And then after getting done with that, hopped on over to breakfast with Santa at the Senior Center. Looked like they had a real nice event over there. Wishing everybody, congratulations on your first second of a motion too, by the way. Yeah. Wishing everybody a very happy holiday, Merry Christmas season. Be safe. A lot of fog out there these days, so drive safe and thanks.
Thank you. I've attended a lot of the same things we've all already heard about. Thanks to the DBA for the honor of swearing in your board members. I do appreciate that. And again, thank you to the council for everyone showing up. On that note, I will just leave it. We got a lot of work ahead of us the next year, but right now it's Christmas season, so Merry Christmas. And Tony's already left, but Happy Hanukkah. Be safe, and we will stand in adjournment until next month. Take care.